Hi there. I think I'll pretend to be bright like this. It's fun what you can do with just the contrast and the brightness. Sometimes it's fun to get it wrong. Okay, what's on my heart? I've been very tickled by the response I got to my most recent video on Little Grandmother and on fear. I half expected to be blasted from one quadrant or another, and it's only been a day, so things aren't over yet. And that's okay too. I mean, I'll take what comes. Just trying to be true to the light that's flowing through here and not get in the way. Um, I'm going to give you a couple of links in the transcript to they were shared with me, and they're some long videos, um, very heavy duty. My life has changed so much, and that's kind of my theme. I wake up every day to a new world, and I realize I can be made fun of quite easily for this, but I don't care. I speak to a cadre of people that have found their way into heart. And I guess I'm tired of being alone. And it's just wonderful to be able to know that some understand, and you really do. You know, there are those of you out there, whether you comment or not, who got there ahead of me, and you've been here for a while. And it's just, there's such a beauty to being able to get together. There are a lot of us that are somewhat uncomfortable in our DNA skin suits. Um, we're more comfortable in other garments of light. And so, and for all of us, it's a real challenge to show up here and live one of these lifetimes, or however many we have going on. It's all simultaneous, friends. It's a challenge to be in such a space and place of freedom that beings are allowed to go in any direction they want and do and be any way they choose to be, and they have the freedom to be nasty, to be harsh, to be mean, to be cruel, to misuse and abuse the light. And it's no easy thing to be a light being in the presence of that. But, we came here, we chose this. So I think we're all in process of pulling up and out of the victim consciousness. Society has directed us into that. They want us with our hand out, needy and dependent, and to be consumers, to support those and keep that flow of money going out and away from us and into other coffers. And so there's a lot going on, people making all kinds of choices. And you know what? That's okay. They have the right to do that. We want freedom for ourselves, and it's important to no more participate in the blame game or the woe is me or the poor me or any of that, but to be stepping back, just quietly, calmly pulling our energies out of the matrix, out of things that we no longer approve of, that we're no longer willing to participate in or to participate so fully in. I mean, when you're walking around on earth, there are certain things that are required, and we can't just pick and choose and say, okay, I think I'll choose to live in heaven now. Thank you very much. I mean, it's a co-creation here, and we're all doing it together. And so our brothers and sisters make some different choices, and we all participate, we all partake of that. So anyway, one of the things that was going through my awareness was looking back, I'll say about a year ago, when I was completely and totally in that freedom to do exactly whatever I chose to do. The body was much more frail even just a year ago. And so I needed to rest a lot, and I was doing that. And I wasn't called on in any way to be in the mind. It was my period of withdrawal from mind. And so I didn't realize it so much at the time, what bliss that was to be able to just dive into heart fully and just not have to deal with the mind. And now, I guess toward the end of that time, as I began being more fully integrated in heart, leaving mind farther behind, getting it into the subservient role that is, in my opinion, right and proper for mind. As I began to get into that space, I did have clear intuitions that I would be looking back very fondly on this time that was passing. And oh my gosh, I hadn't thought it to be so quickly that that would be so. But the deep things I'm diving into now, one of these videos is on money and banking. And that sounds dry as can be. But not if you're a light being. In particular, right now, not if your currency is the dollar. And we've printed it into oblivion. But I think even just going off the gold standard in the first place was kind of a doomsday thing. You know, fiat currencies don't really last. And you know how we're dumbed down in the schools? Each generation of children, as they come through the education system, at least in the USA, are not brighter and brighter. I mean, the children might be brighter, but the education they're given is dimmer and dimmer, dumber and dumber. And a lot of basic things are simply left out. The textbooks are a shame. But anyway, I mean, get a set of McGuffey's readers. These were for our grandparents and great-grandparents, the primers that they used. And look at the one that was for first grade and realize it's probably about 8th grade now. And be shocked, you know. So we have a lot of these little delights that we run into as we compress time and look at it across a broader range than just our own lifetime, and we see what's going on. And that doesn't give us the why or the wherefore, but the what is there to be seen. And it's fairly clear. There are plans that are made behind the scenes that encompass the centuries. For all I know, the millennia. I don't know. I mean, come on. Even on Earth, humanity used to live for many, many hundreds of years. Methuselah was what, 900 and something, 969, some great big number. And so with a lifespan like that, it changes things. And as we leave the mind behind and enter heart, we have a lot more freedom of perspective, freedom across time and across space to expand, to compress, to contain it all, to delve down into one little bitty piece of it. It's a lot of fun, this freedom. But in order to see quite a bit of what's going on right now, our vision needs to encompass more than the lifetime that we've got. I'd say a couple of centuries is good anyway. It's better if you have more. One of these lectures is by Michael Tsarian, and I think it's the future of mankind. And it's a magnificent lecture. Let me see if I can get the title of it while I talk to you. And he says toward the end that he's got, I think it's either a 12 or a 15-hour set of DVDs. Yeah, The Future of Mankind. It's 3 hours and 24 minutes. And this sums that up. And he's a fantastic researcher. He's a light being for certain. Very good head on his shoulders, and just, it's beautifully done. We can look at anyone or anything from heart. As we leave head, we don't feel the need to polarize. We don't feel the need to stay away from something lest it rub off on us, because we're so firmly planted in heart that there's no fear that way. Which isn't to say that I still don't make my calls when I come onto the internet to put a protective force field around myself. You know, I'm not suggesting that we throw caution to the wind. The mind tries to interpret what comes from the heart, and I hope more and more that you begin to recognize as it comes across your awareness the strategy of mind, the mind's attempt to understand something. And if you're standing in heart, when you see it, when you hear it, it'll get easier and easier to recognize and just ignore, you know. Mind's pathetic attempts. If you're still in that mode where you think that you can understand with your mind, all I can say is good luck with that. And I really mean it. I wish you well. There may be some people that's their divine plan, and in some way that will be done. For me and my divine plan, I just know that's not the way. To enter the heart, you check the mind at the door, the 3D mind. Remember, I say again and again, you don't go brainless. You don't, you know, it's the no mind. But there is something there that takes over that function. And you still have access to that. Only it's just different, folks. I can't put this into words. You do your thing, I'll do mine. We'll try to meet in the middle, and we'll both benefit. Okay, so the lecture on banking might be the only one that you ever need to see. You might need to take it in small pieces, because it's not a lecture on banking. It's a lecture and an exposure of how the world has been dominated and taken over. Countries and everything else have fallen to this beast that is the monetary system. And there's a fellow explaining it who has very good mastery of his topic and of history. And it is truly excellent, an excellent presentation that can bring anyone up to speed. Now, why would you want to dive into such things? I hear some say. Because know the enemy is important. If you don't know history, you're doomed to repeat it. And there's no need for that. But it does require a little bit of application. And if you know me at all, you know that this would not be my choice to be doing, to be listening to these things. Okay? But this is what is presently in my heaven world, and it is a heaven world. Everything is beautiful, and I think we've got to quit judging things and thinking, well, that's on that topic and that topic's boring. Well, honey, that's your mind talking. Get the heck out of there. And look at it again only from heart and give it a shot. Now, I post things that I consider important to Facebook. I don't spend much time on Facebook, but I do enjoy it as an avenue to just kind of give a running electronic commentary on what I'm doing. If I like something, all of that I've allowed to post over to Facebook. Oh, and by the way, my friends, all of us, sooner or later, if we're on YouTube long enough, if we're on the internet long enough, but anyway, YouTube, will find how they're censoring us, how they're trying to direct things. We will hear people saying, hey, my counters are being messed with. And you've got to take some of that with a grain of salt. You've got to go out to the forum and read and listen and understand that there are certain ways that the system works that make a certain amount of sense, and your account might get stuck at a certain number for a while. But above and beyond that, we are being messed with. Just don't believe every gripe that you hear, you know. YouTube is not the Grim Reaper or something. Anyway, where was I going with that? Oh, it's been really interesting lately. If I like something, I'll vote thumbs up. If I like it better, I'll vote favorite. Sure, we all do that. And if I really like it, I will click the share button. And in the past, Facebook was always one of the alternatives there. I could choose to click on it. I have noticed, and it's really been intriguing, how lately on some of these videos, the Facebook link isn't there. And so I've learned how to just take the address, the URL, and open Facebook and click link and, you know, do it manually instead of the automated way. But I thought it was very interesting that both of these videos that I'm going to give you links to don't have an automatic post to Facebook. Just interesting. I mean, it could be a coincidence, but I kind of wonder, you know. Now, they might be both Google videos. I don't remember. So, staying in your now and finding the joy that's there for you. I think that's really what I want to say, because it really doesn't matter what you're being guided into. It really doesn't matter what your current reality is. It's joy-filled. That joy is there. Now, it requires heart vision. It requires leaving mind behind to see this sometimes. But stop and consider for a moment. We have a saying that hindsight is always 20/20. In other words, when we look back on something in our life, something that occurred before, as we look back on it, the things are much clearer, and we realize that even though it was very challenging or trying at that time, we look now and we have the benefit of the time that has passed, and we see, oh my gosh, you know, I've gained, I've grown from that. That's really one of the best things that ever happened to me. All right, now let's compress time here. If you see that and if you understand that, why not take that right back with you in time? Take it into your now and realize that in this now, when you're off ahead in the future and you look back to this time right now, I don't care how tough it is, you're going to find that it's the best that could possibly be. It doesn't get any better than what your now is right now. Now you really have to get out of the head for this. You need to feel it. See, the thing is, I trust heart, and I know I'm talking heart to heart with you. And your heart knows exactly what's being said here. Your heart gets it. Your heart gets it maybe better than I do. All right? And so sometimes you'll have a disjointed feeling that you'll be saying yes to me and no to me at the same time. Well, maybe it's your head saying one thing and your heart saying another. Just a thought. Take care. See you again soon.